Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. Izotope is a proud sponsor of today's episode. Do you know about their new RX12? This is the way to make your audio flawless, all-in-one audio restoration. RX's 50-plus tool ecosystem is everything you need to rescue, refine, and enhance every project, blending surgical control with rapid results. Fully flexible, RX12 includes a standalone audio editing application and suite of software plugins to use in digital audio workstations. For decades, RX has pushed what's possible in audio editing and restoration, bringing out magic in every scene, song, and story. Powered by pioneering machine learning tech, it's the supporting star behind countless Oscar, Grammys, Emmys, and the winner of a Technical Academy Award. Go get this for yourself. Izotope RX12. It's out. IZOTPE.com.
You know, oh, I like this band, I'll go see them. Or, oh, that's my friend's band, I'll go see them, I'll take some pictures. It wasn't ever really a whole thing. Like, I probably missed Nirvana because a couple of times I could have seen them. Maybe I had to work that night or I was out of town that day or something. And then by the time I could have seen them, they were too big for me to go see them. You know, who knows? I have no idea. I don't remember.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Hyphenate. This is our show for Thursday, July 9th, 2026. I am your host, Randy Randall. This is the show where I interview people who do a bunch of stuff. That's the easiest way to say it. Hyphenates, people that are active in more than one area. But, I'm not a stickler for details or specifics. It's a conversation show. It's a conversation show with creatives, people that I think are interesting, right? That's it's not a high bar to cross, but it's, people I want to talk to. And today's guest, Gail Butensky, is an incredible photographer who has captured some of the most, candid, uncanny, behind the scenes, black and white, stark, beautiful, personal moments of the American underground rock scene from the 1980s to the 1990s, in Chicago, New York, and San Francisco. I mean, really, it's a treasure trove, like discovering her photos and seeing them all on her Instagram feed. Her handle is Gail with a camera, GAIL, and then with a camera, no spaces. It's incredible. I mean, she really had a front row seat for so much of what, was to become alternative rock as it was happening. I first met her going to a party for Scott Cannonberg from Pavement when they did a Pavement reunion show. Oh gosh, what was that? 5 years ago? Some years ago. Scott had a little party before the show, and this was in the height of COVID. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were all outside, so we thought, okay, this is probably fine. And I met Gail and her husband, and we all just hit it off. And we've been in touch. And she's an incredible landscape architect, landscape designer, plant expert, all things, organic and native. She really is, brilliant on that level. That's her day job. But she has this whole incredible photo archive of really front row seats. There's a great photo of her with Michael Stipe. I think she tells a story here on the pod of when this was from. I think they were sitting down, in the early days. Oh, yes, this is from 1983, May 1983. Just, Michael Stipe eating maybe some kind of ice cream parfait, but he just looks so disheveledly put together in his Michael Stipe kind of way, especially circa 1983. It's really it's really something. I think I'm in awe throughout this interview when I'm looking at her photos. You can probably hear me drift off like, wait, what? But tons of pavement photos, which are great and fun to see. Stuff I hadn't seen, stuff I had seen, like, oh, wow, that's hers. Tons of great Steve Albini photos that just really paint the portrait of a man, you know, at a time. And it's got some great Minutemen photos. I mean, really just outrageously cool photos. And I feel, you know, she kind of has that feeling of like fly on the wall kind of thing where you're just like, oh, okay. Like it did, obviously the bands didn't even know she was there, or if they knew, they didn't care that she was just snapping photos. So it seemed like it was something she was always doing, always had a camera and was always taking photos. So it was really an honor and a pleasure to present this conversation where we get into photography, life, all things fun. Bikini Kill, October 1992. Where is this at? I mean, it looks like it's just at a show. It looks like she's on the floor. It's one of her few color photographs. You know, it's just cool. She's got a book out of her photos. I believe this is the one, Every Bend by Gail Butensky. It's on Bamboo Dart Press. You can Google her, and she's easily Googleable, but I think best place to start is her Instagram, Gail with a Camera on Instagram. And then there was a fantastic New Yorker article called Finding a Home Among the Punks, Gail Butensky's photographs of alternative and punk rockers find poignancy in the scene's dissonance, by Amanda Petrush, February 8th, 2025. Gail's cool, man. You will be cooler after listening to this to this episode. You'll see how nonchalant and what not a big deal it was for her just to be hanging out, snapping photos all the time of all the cool people doing all the cool people things. And it's kind of the sense you get when you look at her photos. You're like, yeah, of course, that's just what we're doing. Oh yeah, there's Sharon Cheslow. There's Mark, Pavement, Bob, Steve. It's fantastic. It really is cool. Husker Du. Replacements. Oh my gosh. Really, really cool. I mean, I'm such a fan of this era of music and this time of music, and it's really fun to just see these photos I'd never seen before. Just uncovering somebody who was just there, front row seats. Steve Albini sitting on the floor with ripped up jeans. Of course, that's just things that happened, right? And I'm so glad Gail shot the photos that she did and shared them. And I get the sense there's a million more. So look for more fun. But I mean, this is, if ever there was a person with an archive of material from a lifetime of shooting things of her friends and her fascinations and her, you know, favorite bands, this is one of them. You know, I mean, I could see it. This just needs a giant phone book sized coffee table book of all the incredible bands. So yeah, I mean, here we've got the Cramps. This is Jonathan Richman. Who is this? Yeah. Incredible. Really fun stuff. So thank you, Gail, for sitting down and chatting it up about photos. Everybody go follow her, Gail with a Camera. You will not be disappointed. It is tons of fun stuff. And then if you own a publishing company, or I know somebody that owns a publishing company and wants to, you know, produce an incredible photo book of incredible black and white photos of all things music. Oh yeah, here's more REM. Peter Buck looking like he's maybe 22 years old. So cool. All right. Well, I hope everybody did well, survived the 250th years of this American experiment. And here we go on to 251 years of America. Let's see if we can last. I think we got it. I think we can do it. Keep fighting the fight. And yeah, appreciate it. Everybody go check out Gail's photos. Here we go. Gail, thanks so much for coming on Hyphenate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you. You have a new book. I want to get right into it. Let's talk about the book, and then we go backwards and we can talk about everything else. But I want to make sure we hit the book. What's the name of the book? Where can people buy it? And how did this happen? How did you come about making a book?
It's called Something Out There in the Distance, and it's a collaboration with a friend of mine who's a writer. Okay. And he's an old friend. We used to wait tables together in San Francisco at Radio Valencia. and we've been friends all these years, many, many years ago. And he's a writer, and we've talked about doing this for a long time. So he came over and just looked at a bunch of my pictures. He does a lot of flash fiction and short fiction and stuff like that. He's does a lot of that story. He's put out several books of his own of like 100-word stories and stuff of that nature.
Oh, cool.
So originally it was going to be my pictures of like deserts and road trips and things like that. No bands, totally different. No people. It's all just places pictures. And so he looked at a bunch of pictures and picked which ones inspired him. And it turned into be like one long kind of continuing story that went from picture to picture. And there you go.
A cool
and
idea.
Yeah, it's different, and it's put out by University of New Mexico Press. I mean, you can find it all the usual places. I guess all the the bad places and the good places.
The big box sellers online.
The big box. There's books. We were trying to make people go to. I think it's called bookshop.org because they send a proportion of their profits go to local bookstores.
Awesome.
So
Well, I'll try to find
good.
a link and put it in the show notes for people. If they
Oh,
want to
cool.
support
Awesome.
independent
And otherwise, I mean, you could just ask at your bookstore, have them order it. Anyway, but the publisher, they came up with this just different design for it. So it's more like a little object as opposed to a regular standard book. So it's fun that way. Yeah. Very pleased.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
and then,
thanks.
And then and you said it's mostly it's just the landscape, but did it turn into having more bands in it?
Nope, no band photos at all. It's all
got it.
It's not just, it's like desert stuff and road trips. I have so many pictures like that because I kind of stopped doing the band thing, I guess, a little, sort of.
Well,
I didn't stop. I didn't stop. I just slowed down, I guess. And I was doing just more road trips. So that's kind of what it turned into. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is serves as a good transition of all of the band photos. I didn't even know when we first met through Scott from Pavement through Spiral Stairs. I had no idea you had all these great band photos. And then I followed you on Instagram and I see you post them. And so have you released a book of the band photos? Have you done any work with those? Or what's your sort of feeling around that?
Well, I would love to. I need to get myself a little organized and put a book together. I just didn't want to do I don't want to do like a kicks. I don't want to do one of those like fund me things. Sure. I don't know. So it's more about just getting something together and finding a publisher and putting it out and all that. I have another book. The first book I put out is called Every Bend. It's great. It's a little like chapbook, a little paperback chapbook. Put out by Bamboo Dart Press. I don't know if you know the band Refrigerator.
No.
They're out from the Inland Empire area, like Pomona, Claremont, a bunch of bands out there. I've known those guys for
around what years was that?
This book came out a couple years ago, like in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay. Oh no, I mean Refrigerator. Where
Oh no, they're around. They've been around forever, and they're still around. Okay. They're still doing it. Yeah. And I
grew up in that area. I grew up in Walnut, which is right next to Pomona and Claremont and all those things. And I went to a lot of shows and well, not a lot. I mean, as much as a teenager could in the early 90s.
Yeah, I guess they started in the. I don't know exactly. I met them in the 90s because they came up to San Francisco and I think they probably played Aquarius Records and we just became friends and we started.
Oh, how cool.
Back in the pre-computer days, we would actually mail each other things. Like he'd send me tapes and I'd send him pictures and we would just do like this mailing stuff. So then I would see them every time they came up there. And now that we're down here,
I want to look that up. Refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
I remember there was a great coffee shop called The Haven that was around in Pomona that I remember seeing bands, playing there, and another one called Cup of J that was colloquially lovingly referred to as Cup of P.
So what years was this that you're out there? This
would have been like 93 to probably 99 was, in terms of my show going ages of that. I mean, I was also driving into LA a lot to see.
Right. Okay. I think that would have been around then. Suspects. Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
But Refrigerator, somehow I missed them.
Yeah. Anyway, so and also there's a whole bunch of bands out there. Shrimper, the label was Shrimper.
Of course.
Yeah. That's okay. So that's the people from Shrimper. So anyway, so they collaborated with another guy, Mark. So Dennis and Mark have a book publishing company called Bamboo Dart Press, and they put out a book a month. Like it's a lot. So I did a photo book where it's just me. It's my stuff. It's a mix of bands and other pictures. And I just would write, it's kind of like a little travelogue. Like there's a little story I wrote a little blurb with each picture that sort of explains it, but sort of explains something about where I'm coming from as well. And it's just like my little photo chapbook. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when did you first get into taking photos? When did you first start taking photos?
My last semester at college, I took a class in the darkroom, and I went, aha, this is fun. This is really, because I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I always took pictures. Like I just always had cameras. I always took pictures, but I never really took pictures, it was just for people. But I just had a really good time in the darkroom, and that kind of got me going. And then I kind of did, and then also at the time, a friend of mine was starting a fanzine, so it was perfect. Like I could go see bands and get in to see bands and take pictures of the band. So that's how I just started doing music, because that's what I was into, and all my friends, we all did music. That's what we did. So,
and this was all.
That's what I naturally. No, this is Chicago. This is Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I went to Northwestern, and I was living in Evanston.
Oh, wow.
So it started in Evanston, and then I moved to Chicago I lived there for a few years. So it was all that whole. This is the 80s,
kind of late. Yeah, in Chicago.
Like early 80s. I'm older than you think.
80s. Oh my god. Okay, so this is the beginning of Touch and Go. This is Wax Tracks.
Yeah. It was like a lot of
punk scenes in Chicago.
It was hardcore. Like I was into the bands that I was hanging out with was like Naked Ray Gun, Articles of Faith, Big Black. Like I knew Steve from college, and all those bands. That's like who I would see all the time. Yeah. So those people were all my friends, and we would hang out and picture. And then also whoever was coming into town, I saw so many bands because they were coming through, and I would take pictures. So it was great. So I could go to all the places and do that. So I was doing that for a few years. That was fun.
Oh, how cool. Tell me a little bit about that scene. Like, how did you get into this music? How did that, how did you sort of find it? For people who weren't there, for people who kind of almost religiously, remember these things, right? It's always in the aftermath of it all. Like, wow, how great would it be? What was your first-hand perspective?
Right. I don't know how I got into I know when I first went to college, I met my friends because one of them had a Jam button on their shirt, because everybody else was listening to it was like nobody was listening to that. So you found your people. Right. Well, there were these guys on the 7th floor of my dorm room who just played Thunder Road every Friday night till they passed out. It was like, oh great. Okay. That's good times. And we're playing Blondie and, and Patti Smith in our room. Yeah. So they thought we were crazy because we were listening to Patti Smith. It was so crazy. And the Buzzcocks, wild,
Whoa.
Yeah. But back then it was funny. So anyway, but then when I moved, I don't know how I don't remember. I think I just met maybe partially through Steve, because Big Black started then, and I was just taking pictures of them and seeing them all the time. And just, I guess through the fanzine too, different people would just come to town, and whoever was opening for this band, and then you go see that band, and then you meet this other band, I don't know. And then I was,
Tell me a little bit about Steve and your friendship with Steve. I mean, I'm so sorry. I think we're all, as a community and as a world, poorer for him not being in it. But for someone who knew him for so long, what was your friendship like with him?
Well, we were friends back in the day. I did a lot of the Big Black pictures for the records and stuff. And I don't know, it was just always very, that's what you did. I saw them. Sure, you need some pictures? Take these, use these, that kind of thing. Actually, I knew him from college even before Big Black, because we were starting to work on I guess it was the college newspaper even, I think. And I took some birthday party pictures. It was one of the first bands I ever shot. He was like, "Oh, you that one." He was helping me edit the pictures. I remember that very well. But
how cool.
Other over the years, we were friends when I moved to New York. When he would come to New York, they would stay with me, and then when I moved to San Francisco, he would stay with me. He would come to record somebody or something like that. By the time I moved to LA, we'd lost touch a little bit, but he was just always very helpful, because somebody would call, he would need pictures of him because he was getting more and more famous, and someone would need something, and he would always give them my information. Here, call her. She's got the early pictures. He was always trying to help and promote that way. So that was just very helpful. I mean, even though we weren't super in touch or close by the end, but we were, I still felt like we could, hook, just talk to each other. I'd see him every time he came to town a little bit, for the show. So that kind of thing. But yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
anyway,
amazing. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think he's kind of famously curmudgeonly, especially in those early days. At least publicly, he had like almost a.
I know. Everybody he had this reputation, but
if that was like
we just always got along.
Person, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We just always got along fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of whatever. I'm like, oh, he's just saying that because he's saying it. I don't know. It didn't really bother me. I was just, sure. I don't know. We just were always. I thought it was just fun to go see him play and see the shows and all that kind. I don't know.
I think there was a character too of sort of these different kind of underground music scenes where this, crossing a line was almost, it was par fashion of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that it excuses it or makes anything right, or in hindsight, we can relitigate any slander that's written on it, any zine level thing or larger, but there was a sense of subversiveness, I guess.
That shock effect almost, some of
right?
that maybe.
Yes. That punk sort of underground world was, if you weren't shocking, then it wasn't
right.
Seen as wasn't heavy enough. It wasn't,
I know, maybe
you weren't real if you weren't pushing buttons, at least publicly.
Also, yeah. And I think if you know the person personally, you just realize it's just like, it's almost a persona more than a person in a way. Right. So I don't know, some of that too, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting. Well, I think, and it comes from, and again, this armchair psychology sort of thing, but it usually comes from a place of covering up for something. You puff your chest out real big and no one messes with you. But we see most of these guys are softies. You poke them and they deflate immediately. Not necessarily that was Steve, but that that there was a lot of big talk, but it wasn't like he was out there, pushing old ladies in front of taxis.
Oh God, no, none of that, no.
Right.
We always, it was just.
You have to keep it in context of what we're talking about. This is all art. This is music. This is creative. These are poets. These are guys with guitars singing songs to other guys in basements.
I mean, the music was abrasive, but personally, not at all. I didn't think so. It's just a music thing, I think. And that was just fun music to see.
That was such an exciting time of, that Midwest hardcore scene kind of emerging very different from what was happening in DC and in, here on the coast in LA.
Yeah.
Did you? I've met Corey Rusk through Touch and Go and through something, and I've gotten to know some of the Chicago folks a little bit and some of the Drag City folks. What
that was all? That was kind of after me. Like I don't know them. Like I just know them of them. Like Drag City was definitely after I'd left Chicago.
Of course,
and
sure.
Yeah, I was only in Chicago for a few.
Touch and Go. Did that?
No, it was probably. It might have been. I don't think we ever met. But all right, I have a horrible memory. So if I did meet him, I'm sorry. I apologize. But a lot of that was just sort of that might have been. I don't know what year that was. I wasn't in Chicago very long. Then I moved back to New York to go back to photo school. So I went back to New York for a number of years again. So. And
there's another kind of wave of hardcore sort of emerging there as well. Were you into that as much, or what was your music when you went to New York after Chicago?
Yeah, the same. I mean, it was just going to CBGB's and Pyramid Club and all these places all the time. And I worked with, like the places I was waiting tables, but the places I ended up working were always just friends who were really into music. So it was just all these different scenes. I was into a lot of different scenes, actually. It wasn't one thing in particular necessarily. And whatever bands came through, there was all kinds of stuff. But I kind of missed that early New York. I mean, I would see it because when I grew up just outside New York. So when I lived in Chicago, I went back to New York a lot. So, I went to the Mud Club, I went to Hurrah, I went to all these places and I would see shows back in the day, but it was just when I was visiting town. I wasn't living there then. So I kind of missed a lot of that stuff. And a lot of it was just more like touring band, I guess, touring shows. I remember just trying to remember who I saw playing in New York. I guess there was stuff in New York bands that I was, seeing a lot.
Who would you see at the time?
was friends with. I mean, I became friends with like the Dust Devils were good friends. Like that they were just in our group. And remember when the first band that Matador put out was HP Zinker. We were all friends. They were these two guys from Austria. I don't know how we ended up meeting them, but we were all friends with them. It's funny. And that's how I met New Pavement, because I was waiting tables with Mark. So before the band, like I just, and I was really good friends with Gerard I knew Gerard from Homestead Records. So then when they started Matador, like I knew all of them. So all those people. And then their like first employee, Rusty, was like one of my best friends, and we all worked at this cafe, and it was just like New York was like a tiny little village, it just becomes this little town, and you just sort of know. I remember you. You wouldn't even make a plan. Like you would just go, okay, I'm just going to go to this bar. I'll see who's there. And if they weren't there, then you go to the next bar. Oh, there you are. Okay. But it was New York. So it was so funny because it seemed like this huge place, but it was just kind of like this little village.
It's a tribe, or it's a small village. Like you said, where especially within a scene, you know what I mean? That's always the way it is. I mean, I feel like that was at Los Angeles so much for me too. You didn't call people, you just went out and you saw who you'd bump into, and you'd find the same handful of people everywhere you went.
Although in New York, like in Chicago, like we were seeing the same bands over and over again. Like I was seeing all my friends in the hardcore bands in New York. It was more like we'd go see shows that were, it was definitely people that lived in New York, but it wasn't like a music scene. It was more like a friends scene. And we'd just go see all the bands because there was a lot of traveling stuff too that we would see.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. And you're just with the camera, and you're shooting for fanzines and just for yourself, and you're developing these photos.
I went back when I moved back to New York. I went to they had ICP, International Center of Photography, had just started this whole documentary photo. What's the word? It was like a year-long program. Mm-hmm. Documentary journalism. So I was like, well, I'm kind of into that. So I'd done a few things in Chicago, like for the Reader, like some political stuff also, like besides bands. So I was kind of getting into that like journalism part of it all. So I went to New York, and it was one of the first years they still do it, but it was like one of the first years they'd done it. So I was in that program, which was just an all really intensive, all day. You're doing workshops and classes and photos, and you're in the dark room and this, that, and the other. And it was just, that's kind of, just by doing it so much, I started to know what I was doing.
You put in the 10,000 hours. You put in
a little bit of that. It helped. Yeah.
And was everything mostly black and white, or where? I mean, I see a lot of the stuff you post online, through your Instagram.
Yeah, the old stuff mostly was black and white because I could print it myself. Back then I was shooting color slides, which is like kind of, I don't know, because then if you're shooting slides, you can't, what do you do? Back in the day, I couldn't really do anything with them. I just did them for me, kind of. But I was mostly shooting black and white because I really like printing. So then when I moved to San Francisco, I started working also. I started working in photo labs printing because I really liked printing. So and I was a pretty good printer, so I could do it. So I was working in a black and white lab, and then someone I worked with there opened up a color lab. And I was like, well, I don't really know how to print color. He's like, don't you know how to print? You can learn color. So that's when I started the coincidence of that combined with being in California, going to the desert and going on road trips contributed to all the color stuff more. Okay. So more recently, I started doing a lot more color. Yeah. But that was not until like 1990 like the mid 90s even. Yeah. I really started doing much more color. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a hair before the digital sort of.
Yes. It was all
these things. You got in just under
all
the wire.
pre-digital. And I was working in photo labs. So, that's what and then when I moved to LA, I started printing color in a commercial lab because that's what I could do. Till I had to get laid off because nobody was doing that anymore. Digital started. Yeah. So,
yeah. I know. Talk about one of the fallen sort of industries of many.
Yeah,
things.
I mean, it's still there. They still do it, and now like the kids are starting to shoot cameras again. It's so funny. I found a bunch of cameras, and I'm like, I'm never going to use this one again. I'll sell this one, but this one, maybe I'll try this one again. So we'll see. But oh my God, it's so much more expensive now.
It's become a luxury, right?
I know. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how. I mean, I was so lucky because I could go into the dark rooms I worked at on my days off and just print as much as I wanted. So I just printed so much. I got so much printed and so much done because it was there and I could do it. So I don't think I would do that again today. But anyway,
right.
Yeah.
The richness of resources at your fingertips. Yeah.
Now I use my phone.
When they look back, the youth is wasted on the young. You have all these jobs, you're broke, but you could print photos all day long. Like, okay, well,
exactly, right?
Yeah,
right,
okay, well,
exactly.
I got paid and I got to print photos all day long.
Right. Well, I barely got paid, but that's okay.
Yeah, barely, exactly. Right, But then you look at rent, and then you go, well, okay, it was enough,
right,
exactly, to cover living in an apartment with 5 other people, and
right,
yeah,
you can get by,
and clothes, and you find clothes on the,
right, exactly.
Wear stuff from thrift stores for 50 cents.
Yes.
The pile.
I don't know how people do it now.
Because you were a kid and you hardly ate anything and everyone's skinny.
Right. Or no, I ate in the restaurants I worked in.
There you
that's
go.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Life was just a garden for the picking.
Yes.
It's incredible. So yeah, tell me a little bit about Pavement. I mean, that's sort of, the channel we met through Scott, but when you met Mark from when you're waiting tables and then, you would see them before Mark joined. Did you see them when it was just the 3?
Well, this is a story one little story I've told before. Well, I knew the people at Matador. So I knew, when first I knew when the first single came out, because I remember this. I don't know why I remember this so well, because I remember such weird things. But going to Pure Platters once on the way to see some show at Maxwell's with Mark, I'm sure, and he was like, "Oh, get this single," and it was the Treble Kicker single. The first Pavement single. And I was like, sure. Oh, I'll get that. Okay, so I have that. So that was good. And then when Slanted and Enchanted, before it came out, it was just going around on a cassette tape. Like everybody had this cassette tape and it was getting retaped and passed around. So we all knew what it was before it came out. So it's kind of a whole thing. Yeah. And then I guess because I also knew Gerard, when I moved to San Francisco, when Slanted was coming out, they needed some promo pictures. And half the band was in New York and half the band was in the West Coast. So Scott and Gary came into San Francisco and we just took some pictures one day. And so the picture that ran, it was like a split picture. Like I took the pictures of Scott and Gary and someone else took pictures of Steve and Bob and Mark in New York. And then it was like before their first, I guess it was before their first tour, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how it started. And then, yeah.
That's amazing. And I mean, I think Treble Kicker, I think that was the Drag City release, I think, right? That was the 7-inch.
No, it wasn't even. It wasn't even on a label. It was
self-released.
It was, I don't know who put that. I think they just put it out.
They just put it out.
I don't think it was.
Okay.
I don't think it was on anything. It was definitely before Drag City. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know there was something that Dan put out early.
Yeah. I think they just re-released it, but yeah. So anyway, we just knew about it before the band. And Mark was in the Dust Devils at the time. I mean, I remember Mark before he played bass, but then he was in the Dust Devils. He was like learning bass and playing. He was in that band. And then, everybody was just sort of hanging out. I was like, oh, be in our band. Okay. That's kind of how they were, I think. I don't know. But then once I went to New York to do a whole photo shoot with them over a weekend before, I think it was before Crooked Rain came out, that Matador had me do a photo shoot with them. And then once when they were doing a tour on the West Coast, I'm good friends also with Mark's, I guess, wife now. They were girlfriend, boy. I mean, we were just friends forever. So I just drove up to Vancouver with them. So that was fun because it was a whole, I got to take a lot of crazy pictures then. That was kind of crazy. That was fun.
And this was still the Gary era when it was?
No. By this point,
okay.
no. Gary was gone by then. It was Steve. I saw them play with Gary a couple of times, and I'm like, we would drive to Stockton or Sacramento. Maybe they played from San Francisco. You could just go to Sacramento. It was like an hour and a half away. Or like, let's go there for see a show. I remember we saw them there. I know I saw them play with Gary a few times. I think maybe in San Francisco, maybe he played with them. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but I think, yeah.
It's okay, yeah.
I know I have pictures of Gary in San Francisco, so I don't know if he might have just been visiting and not in the band anymore, but I think he was playing with them for a few times I saw them.
Got it. And you're just shooting the whole time. And then have these photos surfaced? Have they been used in box sets and different things? Or what is sort of that output of some of those pavement photos? Are a lot of them unseen, unreleased? Obviously they're a well-documented band. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I have piles of pictures. I post them on Instagram. Right. I mean, some of them are used. Some of them have been used. They've been like, when I've been doing, I had a couple things put out for, actually Maggot Brain did a pavement story. So I did a whole thing for them about just my pavement pictures.
Oh, okay.
That was a while back. That was a number of years ago. And then when I redid another thing for Maggot Brain, like just a kind of overview of some of my just other work. A couple of those might have been in that one by then, but I think they'd done a bunch of pavement stuff earlier. I forgot they did a whole story on pavement, and they just wanted like my perspective kind of thing. Because I know Mike, who puts out Maggot Brain, I've known him forever too, and just from New York. So I don't know if they've ever been. They probably used some of them were used as promo pictures. I know that picture of Scott and Gary was in the New York Times when it first came out because they were just coming out and stuff. And I remember that I was like, oh, that's funny that they're using that picture. But otherwise, I don't know. Maybe someone will do a book one day. I don't know. I've been told I should do a pavement book. I don't know.
Well, if anybody's listening to this, get in touch. You can find Gail.
There you go.
And she owns these rights to all these images. These are hers. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's definitely, growing up, you see these photos and they're iconic. I mean, you grow up with these photos of Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, and you never really think about how did these get made? Who was the person who had the camera? And, to stand there. And then once I started a band, I found, it was this odd moment of years, nobody cared. And then suddenly people wanted to take your picture. And then in between sound check and show, you're walking around the block to go stand in front of brick walls for the next 3 years.
Yep.
You find yourself like, oh, just stand there, do this, do that. And you don't really think about it. And then suddenly they come out somewhere. And I'm in the fortunate position now where, we're 20 years on from our first release and people are sending me photos like, oh, did you ever see these? And these are outtakes or these are things like, no, I remember.
Oh, that's fun.
I just got so used to standing places and people would shoot photos and I never thought to ask or nobody, you're like, well, maybe you'd see it, maybe you wouldn't, or you'd see one photo, but I was like, we took photos for like 2 hours.
That's funny. And you end up seeing just the one that gets used. You don't see all the other ones. Yeah. It's funny to go look back at it now because also, I mean, a lot of the stuff I took was just really casual behind the scenes. Like I'm just taking pictures of my friends.
The stuff you posted. Yeah. It feels very
it's just my friend
in a way. Yeah,
it's kind of like just
there.
It's kind of my diary. That's what Bob said that to me once. He said something like it's not. I don't even notice. I mean, he notices I'm there. We're talking, but he doesn't even notice that. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's the best compliment. I'm like, that's great. I love that he said that. That was just it was so fun. But I'm going back over a lot of it now, so I'm trying to find, maybe who knows what's what, right? Because I printed a lot of it a long time ago, but to go back and look at it, it's kind of fun to see. And it's 30 years ago. That's a long time. It's kind of funny.
Right.
The 90s got hot, the 90s are big.
Yeah, right. 96 was 30 years ago.
Oh my God, that's so crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I was posting pictures that were 40 years old the other day. I was like, oh my God, the 80s. That's like, I'm really dating myself. But these pictures are 40 years old. That's nuts.
Oh my gosh, it's great. Yeah. I think it's so important to have that. My headphones just turned off for some reason. Hold on, let me put my headphones back on.
Okay.
What happened? Headphones.
Oh no.
Oh no. Hold on. What do I have to do here?
Okay.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I think I just went. Sorry, I don't know if my voice sounded different.
It did. I heard some weird little noise, and then it went different.
Yeah. Let me see if I can turn this back on. Technology. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, I'm connected. Oh, recording stopped. We had to stop the recording because there was an exchange of one of your audio devices. 3, 2, 1. Oh, this will be fun. Okay, here we go. We're back on now.
All right.
But
technology.
yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you know, shooting photos, my partner in this podcast, we do a wrap up show every Monday. He's Aaron Farley. He's a photographer, and we've talked so often just about that feeling of just hanging out with your friends with the camera. You know what I mean? Whoever had the camera, we didn't really notice them, but those photos are priceless. And especially because there really is no way of knowing what it is you're documenting. Like any photo you shoot today is someone else's history. You know, it doesn't, and it even goes for now with everybody, you know, has got a camera in their pocket, and it's so easy to poo-poo and say, oh, well, it's not like it used to be. Well, nothing's like it used to be. No, it'll never, that's the whole reason you take photos, because it'll never happen again. You'll never be in this exact location with these people ever again. You don't know, and you don't know in the moment what's precious about it or what is so significant. So you just shoot, and you can, that's for someone else to find out.
I wasn't looking. I've heard other people talk about like taking pictures in the past, knowing it's going to be important one day. That never even occurred to me. Like I was just taking pictures. It was almost like a diary. Like that's just what I do. Like I was so used to taking pictures, especially after going to photo classes and just being so immersed in it. You just start seeing things differently. So walking down the street, you just start taking pictures. Like and I would go out with friends and I would take pictures. If I didn't have I always had a camera with me, always, usually more than one, just going around because that's just the way it was. Like I felt like it was if I forgot a camera, it was like I left my arm at home. Like it just felt weird and wrong. So I always was taking pictures and seriously, just almost, I don't know, maybe I'm just super nostalgic or I don't know. I was just like to hold on to what it was, not thinking it was going to be anything in the future, but just to like kind of hold on to what was happening. So I'd remember it maybe more. It's the only way I remember anything now. But, and I still do that. I just use my phone, but I take pictures just to do that. But back then, there were hardly anybody else with a camera. So I was the one who always had the cameras. So for the bands, when you're at a show, there was like a couple other people with a camera in front, maybe some shows there'd be nobody else there. So that was just, okay, I'll just go do this. And then just for around, like people just didn't have cameras just around. That just wasn't a thing. But now everybody does. But that's okay. More pictures. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, it happens. Did you ever shoot photos of Nirvana? This sort of seems to be another thing.
I never saw Nirvana. Isn't that crazy? I have no idea
this
how.
Time and era, like that's the one.
Right there. I was right there. Yeah. I knew people who were friends with them, and I don't know. I never saw them. Isn't that bizarre? Okay. I don't know. Go figure. I definitely missed. You know, the one thing I would say is like for all the stuff I shot, I didn't shoot nearly enough. Like I should have been taking, you know what I mean? Just always more. Like, why did I?
Yeah.
Right? Like I know there's shows I was at that I didn't take any pictures. I'm like, what was it? Why did I not? Or like this thing happened. Why did I not take pictures then? What was I thinking? How could I not take pictures then? So like weird situations I can remember in my head. I'm like, I have no record of that. That's crazy. So I know. Never.
That's life. Yeah. But that's the constant just living life. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to be. You don't want to be stuck behind the camera. I mean, I have 2 young kids, and I'm always I have the picture right before the right before he scored the goal and right after he scored the goal, but I don't have the picture of him scoring the goal or the thing.
But that's okay. But that's still part of it, though. That's still that's good.
Yeah,
that's
I have a million pictures, but I didn't get the one where he got the thing, and that's one he wants to see. That's the one that tells the story. I'm like, wow. Like, why did you take that, Dad? I'm like, oh my, I am definitely a dad. You know, I'm documenting your whole childhood through this.
Yes.
But
that's
you're just gonna miss things. You're just gonna miss those things.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Although I bet somebody else at the game has that picture.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? There's probably other people who are taking pictures too. Somebody else probably has it.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Well, I was going to ask, in terms of just having the camera just being there. I mean, were you lighting things? Were you posing?
No,
or it was all just fly on the wall?
No, totally.
I mean, how many of your photos just come out completely black? I mean, how many of the things you're going?
A lot.
Oh, there was no. the lights were bad. The thing was bad. He sneezed. He blinked. He turned his face. All of
bad, very bad. There's a lot of really bad photos. That's why you take so many pictures, because you get so many bad ones. I was just looking at pictures. I'm scanning now. Oh, this is so stupid. But I was scanning these negatives from in 19 I guess, yeah. Okay, this is 40 years ago, 1986. It was the 100-year anniversary of the Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
And I lived way downtown New York and the streets were closed. It was this huge festival. And I must have just walked around with like my camera just off the hip taking pictures. I'm like, these are all terrible. No wonder I never printed these. They're all terrible. They're so bad. So I'm like, okay, that was a little experiment that didn't work.
Sure.
But, and then at some point I ended up with this point and shoot camera. Mm-hmm. So it was a really good quality point and shoot camera that was very trendy for a while. Like everybody had one of these. Mm-hmm. And I had several of them, and that's what I would just shoot with all the time. And that was just, it was more like,
these came back into style, like, 15, 20 years ago with the Terry Richardson.
Yeah, they were very big in the 90s. Flash. This one was very big in the 90s. And, okay. But I would do a lot of fill flash and stuff like that. But so it was all, but I had like bags of Nikons with flashes and all that. I did it all, a lot of times it was best to do live shows with natural lighting if the lighting was decent at the show. Mm-hmm. But I use flash. a lot. But I never did like setups or lighting. I was just I never had the patience for that. That wasn't in my head to, like, I never worked in a studio. I've just never done that. I wouldn't know really what to do in a studio. It was more kind of journalism off the cuff. Just go ahead and shoot it. Trying to use available light when I could. Partly because it was easier than carrying flashes around.
Sure.
Less equipment.
Well, it sounds like it was so much part of your life. Yeah, you just had the camera on you. You weren't looking to create the photo. You were documenting what was happening.
But if I would go to a big show, like I would bring a whole bag of cameras with me, with the point of shooting, especially if it was like for this fanzine that I was doing a lot of stuff for. This thing was called Matter Magazine back in Chicago back in the day. And I used to do tons of stuff for them. So we would, meet the bands, interview the bands, and, all this stuff. Okay. So I would bring it back. It was very intentional at that point. Yeah. So
incredible. What are some of the shows? What are some of the highlights of things that stick out to you? I mean, whether you took a photo of it or not. Just seeing so many shows.
Just remembering this bag of cameras I had. I remember this. Well, I've seen the Butthole Surfers a ton of times, but the first time I saw them was in the Cubby Bear Lounge, which is a little baseball bar in Chicago. So the first records, whatever. So that was crazy show, wild show. And then at the very end of the show, Gibby's like, does anybody know where we can stay tonight? And my roommate and I are like, come on over. We live 2 blocks from the bar. And my third roommate had just had a little conversation with us about a lot of parties going, like too many parties maybe. We're like, no, come on over. So they slept on my floor, which I have no pictures of. See, this is one thing. And here we go. Back to, right, yeah. We were just like trying to, like we were just playing records and hanging out all night. No pictures of that. I had pictures of the show, which was an incredible show, but no pictures of that. But then the next time they came to town, they played at Metro, which is a bigger club.
Sure.
And I was on stage taking pictures, and I don't know what possessed me. I handed my bag of cameras to someone and I just jumped off the stage. I'm like, if I'm ever going to stage dive, this is when it's going to happen. And I have no memory of how I landed. It couldn't have been good because it was kind of high, but I didn't break anything. So whatever happened. And that was back in the day. I don't know who else was back there. I'm like, just watch these for a bit. Give him my whole bag of cameras.
The moment took you.
Yeah, it was just those shows were so insane. Like that was just crazy times. Yeah.
Oh, how fun!
That was pretty fun.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
What? Mm-hmm. I mean, what other shows stand out to you in terms of those sort of moments or things?
There were some great shows in San Francisco in the 90s. The Chameleon was a great little space. It was a small little club. I mean, like seeing Jesus Lizard in a place like that, or the Cows in a place like that. Like those were just, those shows are amazing. Yeah.
This is 100 people and the walls are sweating kind of feeling.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little bar, a little neighborhood place. Yeah. So fun.
Do you have good photos
my favorite
of David Yao
and the other
jumping in?
Do
you have good photos of David Yao jumping into the audience?
I have pictures. They're not great, but I do have pictures. I definitely have pictures of them. Yeah, I have pictures. I'm trying to remember. I saw them in New York also, and I can't remember, but I remember them. I feel like they played in San Francisco a few times that I saw them play. I feel like it was more than a couple of times.
Did you know after the Chicago scene, or that was after your time?
No, that was after. I don't. I met them then a little bit, but I don't really know them. I mean, I just kind of, sort of met because you knew this person. Oh, hi, that kind of
Friends
thing.
of
You know, I have
friends,
pictures of people talking to people in the crowd kind of situation. Oh, that's blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's fine. And yeah, I did see them a bunch. And the best band in San Francisco that I saw all the time, which had the most amazing shows, were the Thinking Fellers, which was like, they're just incredible. So they're like, that would, every time they played live locally, it was like an event. It was like a thing. Cause like, oh my God, they're playing. Yay. So that was just always great. So I have tons of pictures of them too. Cause I also did photo shoots of them on multiple occasions. So it's another band I saw a lot. I have a lot of, yeah.
I saw recently you posted a photo of the Mekons as well.
Yes,
somebody
yes.
that you had shot several times, or was that?
Well, it turns out I saw them a bunch back in the day. Like I saw them in New York. Apparently I saw them at CBGB's because I just found those pictures, which I had never printed. I did not even remember that I had those. And then there was a very memorable show where they played at the original Knitting Factory that was on Houston Street in New York. It was up these stairs and it was this tiny, it was like this really long, narrow space. It was really small. One of the hottest, most dense shows I ever saw, where in the front, like their friends were like holding people back, like people were falling off the stage, and they were kind of crazy. So I took I was right up front taking all these crazy pictures of them. But then I didn't know them then. I became friends with them many years later in LA. Eric Rico, the accordion player, is a very good friend of mine now because they used to live right near us here in Highland Park, him and his wife. So through him, we would go see the shows all the time when they would come to town. And they're just the most fun to see. And through them now I've become friends. And then I showed them all these, I'm like, look, I have these pictures of you from like 30 years ago. And they were like, oh my goodness. So those are the ones that just got in, they were just in Cream magazine, just did a story on them.
Oh, amazing.
So they would do these tours, like they've done tours, like they play in the desert and they play in San Diego and they play in LA, and we would just follow them around because it was just, local little tours. But their shows are always so fun, so entertaining. And
that's amazing.
now they're friends, so it's good. Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm looking at through your Instagram too, and I see this great picture of Michael Stipe eating at a cafe.
Oh yeah,
that's the story behind that.
That is one of the first bands I ever took a picture of, which is so.
Tell me about it.
I can't believe. Yeah, they were playing a show. I think they were headlining Park West. Like I think Murmur was all that had been out. Maybe the first single, and then Murmur was really early. So they were big enough to be like, ooh, it's REM. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was just some band that was coming through. Like we knew who they were, and the gal who was putting this fanzine together, that was just her band. She loved them so much. So she really wanted to interview them. So we set this whole thing up, and there we were just like hanging out, having ice cream before the show. I don't know. I took some group shots of them that ran in a issue, I guess a few issues later, but I do remember.
It's a gorgeous photo. I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, it really is that kind of candid, just catching somebody at a moment.
It was just, and then we were sitting there. They did this other thing where she would, I think it was a rehash from an old Cream magazine thing, or some old music magazine used to do this thing where the band would be reading issues of the magazine.
Oh, okay.
So they had all these old issues there. So I have a lot of, like, I have a picture of the Rain Parade and the Neats and the Bongos, like all these bands from that era, all reading this magazine. Husker Du, I have doing that. Like that's how I would see all those bands all the time. And that was a feature that we would do. It was like, here, just read the magazine.
That's amazing. I have a whole series of those. Speaking of the Do, I mean, I see you have a picture here of the Mats at Cubby's Lounge.
Yeah.
With Paul with like a dress on, a stripy dress.
Yeah, they're all, I don't know why. Yeah, they did that. Yeah. They would play Husker Du and replacement. Yeah, they would. Because it was Chicago, so they would come to Chicago a lot. Like I felt like I saw them every other month between Husker Du and the Mats. I would see them a lot, so I have pictures. And that show, they just did the reissue of Let It Be. Yeah, they just did a reissue of Let It Be with like a big, more photos and all that stuff, and a live recording of that show.
Oh,
So
wow.
they have, so they had, I'm like, yes, I have pictures from that show. I don't know who recorded it or how they tracked down the person who had the audio recording of that show. But that's part of the
That's
record
amazing.
reissue now. And then they have my pictures there for that. So that was kind of fun. But they were funny because they would come.
Those bands. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Well,
No, I was saying sometimes
they're were so drunk or so great, or you didn't know what you were going to get, right? Yeah,
exactly. Sometimes I remember seeing them and I'm like, just finish a song, guys. Just try and finish a song. But then shows would be just really great. They did some really, they were just really fun. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I see Minutemen, 1984. Sorry, I'm going through
That's okay.
The Metro. Who else was on that bill? Do you remember that, or what was
Oh God, I don't remember. What I do remember was that was the Ballot tour, because they had that album that came out with the ballot on it. So I have a picture of like D Boon was handing out ballots to the crowd. So I do remember it was that. So it was a little bit later. It was after Double Nickels, and that was great. They were so great. Yeah.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I could do this all day. I don't want to.
Yeah. No, but all those bands would come through.
Whack-a-mole, but it's incredible. I mean, you see these photos, and it really is a place in time, and it really just feels like, you're in the room with them. I mean, it really.
Well, also in Chicago, I lived right there. Like that neighborhood was the neighborhood at the time. So like I lived 2 blocks from the Cubby Bear and Metro, like right near the L station there. And the restaurant I worked in was like 6 blocks away, and the lake was a few blocks that way. And, my roommate, we would just, I don't know, I lived right near Wrigley Field. It was right there. That was like the neighborhood. There were clubs all kind of around that area. So
how fun.
This is before what was the area in Chicago that became kind of big after I left?
Wicker Park?
Something. Yes. Which wasn't, it was just, people were just starting to move there. Like when I moved back to New York. So I never really hung out in that area that much. Everything was kind of up in Wrigleyville. So it was all like right there. You would just kind of go from bar to bar. Oh, who's playing here? And then you'd go out for Mexican food because they were open till 4 a.m. Everything was open till, the bars were open till 4 a.m. there, like New York. So you were just out. We were just out all the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And there's a bar on almost every corner. I mean, that's the other fun thing about Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
There's almost as many bars as there are people. One bar per person.
Oh my God. So crazy. Yeah.
And just the amount of music there. Wow. I mean, it's
the Cubby Bear. The Cubby Bear started having shows during a baseball strike one year.
Oh my God.
Because they were really catty cornered to the Wrigley Field. And, the baseball strike was on. There was no baseball. So they just started booking these bands. So that was pretty fun. And then when baseball came back, you'd have like the skater boys hanging out with the baseball guys with the beer coming off their heads, those hats they would wear with the beer on top and that whole thing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah.
How funny.
And it was before they had lights in Wrigley Field. So it was all day baseball.
Oh, okay. So no nighttime. So that's where the bar
is. And then the shows would be at night. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's how long ago it was. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, gosh. Yeah. Great photos of Bob and Husker Du. And the whole Pavement crew here. I mean, it really does. I mean, it feels like a book. I mean, I feel like you're.
Okay.
Everybody has to follow Gail with the camera on Instagram because it really is just, especially if you're nerdy for all things 80s, 90s music world. Really. What was your take? I mean, I guess this sounds a little cliche to say, but I mean, obviously you were you had a front row with the camera to American Underground, and then we mentioned Nirvana, and then there's sort of the above ground sort of birth of alternative used to be punk, now is a college takeover thing. I mean, how did you experience that?
At the time I was just taking pictures of the bands I wanted to go see, and and it was usually in smaller places. I would hardly ever do bigger shows. I remember once when I was was I even still in college? Maybe I was out of college by then. We were going to do Echo and the Bunnymen, and I got to go meet Echo and the Bunnymen. And the whole experience was so bizarre to me because first of all, it was just for this fanzine. So the guy I was with who was going to write the story really wanted to meet Ian McCulloch, and they were like, no, you talk to Pete DeFreitas. And I'm like, okay, that's good. I'll hang out with Pete DeFreitas.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, sure. And then I took pictures of them playing live and all that. But backstage, they're like, all right, there's 3 of you. We're going to stand in this corner. You have 2 minutes. And I'm like, that is just not the way I like to take pictures. So I did it. It was fine, whatever. It was a picture. But I was like, I just never liked those bigger things. To this day, I don't like going to a bigger show. I really like smaller shows much more. It's just much more intimate. And also, I remember there was, when the Butthole Surfers came to New York, I know there was a great show I saw them play at, I think it was Danceteria. I saw them at CBGB's and I have pictures of that. That was manic. But I don't think I brought cameras because I didn't think I could get in with my cameras. Like now you just have your phone. But at the time, I didn't think I could get in with cameras. So I didn't really, I don't normally I just didn't go to bigger shows. So at the time it was just, oh, I like this band, I'll go see them. Or, oh, that's my friend's band, I'll go see them, I'll take some pictures. It wasn't ever really a whole thing. So when it got, I probably missed Nirvana because a couple of times I could have seen them. Maybe I had to work that night or I was out of town that day or something. And then by the time I could have seen them and they were too big for me to go see them, who knows? I have no idea. I don't remember, but yeah.
Did it seem surreal to sort of see these bands you'd seen for years in these small clubs, or bands that sounded like them or were, kind of carrying the torch forward for these kinds of things that now become MTV, darlings?
Yeah. I remember everybody talking about it like it was a weird thing when they I remember some band in San Francisco, I can't remember now who it was, but ironically they started covering Smells Like Teen Spirit because it was so funny that but they were all friends, everybody knew them, but that was just it's kind of almost like a joke. But that was weird. I remember everybody thinking that was kind of weird. But then again, so then the next band that you would see would be just some small little band again. It happened to them, but it didn't really happen to everybody. I don't know.
Sure.
Pavement got bigger, but it wasn't,
I think Scott and
Sonic Youth got bigger, but it wasn't like that kind of yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
we saw that.
And also by that time, good.
Oh, no. I was just saying, we saw that documentary about Scott and the Pavement Crew and how they, were kind of struggled with this sort of sense of, we're too famous to be small, we're too small to be famous, and this doesn't, life, it was like sliding car.
Right.
As great as the music was and everything else, there was never the perfect meeting of celebrity to talent or whatever they felt was in the
right. That last time they came through, it was a bigger place, but it was great. It was so fun to see them, and they were great. I loved it. So I can still enjoy a show like that. And I still see some of the bands that I saw. Yo La Tengo comes to town, and they play bigger places, and I love to go see them. It's great. But I still remember seeing them in these tiny, little places in New York back in the day. So, that's okay. Things change. Yeah. By the time a lot of that stuff got bigger, I just don't see nearly as much as I used to anymore. That's when I started taking color pictures in the desert. My whole shift of photography kind of just happened as that was happening anyway. So yeah, as I started printing in color and just not going out as much and going out, to the desert more and that sort of thing, it just sort of changed a little bit, I guess.
It's just a natural sort of
see stuff, but yeah.
A natural rhythm of life too. Just okay, well, you can't keep going to the clubs and the oh my gosh, this Anyway, I could just do this all day. This Nick Cave photo is great. That's him holding the magazine. Right? That's one of those things.
Oh yeah, that was
incredible. It really does feel like a book here. You need to, an encyclopedia. Everybody write to your local book publishers. Let's get Gail something. And do you sell prints? I've seen things here that some prints have been for sale. What is your relationship to kind of that world of stuff? People love these photos as much as I do. And what can they do?
Yes, they can. Anybody can get in touch with me about. So I have I have a guy who started, because I don't print in darkrooms anymore. I don't have the access or the ability. I do have some vintage prints that I did in the day that I'm starting to sell a little bit here and there. Probably more obscure things in their small prints, but I do have all these vintage. I just have too much stuff, to be honest. Got to clear out some boxes in the house. And but I did start working with a guy who does really beautiful digital archive prints. So he scans my negs really well and he prints it. So I have about 10 or 11 images available now, and I'm totally willing to do more. It's just a matter of, funds, that kind of thing. So they're not cheap prints. They're nice. They're really nice. I mean, I don't think buying prints is a thing these days, honestly. Partly why I would like to do a book in SIGs. I'm not sure it's as big a deal as it might have used to have been. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
Well,
I'm open. I'll whatever. Get a hold of me.
This is artwork. This is a time and a place, and I think it comes in waves. I'm sure the appreciation for the bands and the time, and there's just so much of it, which is incredible. I mean, I'm sure this is a fraction of what you have. What people see on the site here is just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
but really,
I know. I started doing the Instagram
view.
Yeah, I started doing it, I think, towards the end of the pandemic. I was finally like, all right, I could do this. Because I had just a regular Instagram page, and I was just posting a lot of plants, garden pictures, because I do the gardening too, and all that kind of stuff. So, and then I was like, it was more like a diary. And then I was like, you know what, I should just start another thing where I'm going to just start. I got a decent scanner, and I just started scanning my own stuff, just good enough for posting it. And they're not like great scans, but it's good enough for that. So that just started because I was like, I just got to get this out here. It's just sitting on shelves in my house, and like no one even knows it's here. So I started doing that. And then I was like, all right, I picked like images I thought would interest people, like Pavement and Steve Albini, like stuff like that for the first prints. But, I've done a couple of prints for people who like, they had it in they're like, oh, that band, I really, that means something to me. Can you get me a print of that? So I'll do that. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's a fashion element to this as well. I mean, I feel like there's the account Scene in Between. He's done a few books. I don't know if you've seen those books, kind of documenting the American underground or British underground.
Oh, that sounds familiar. It does sound familiar. Yeah.
I know. Just the authenticity of, kind of the fashion and sort of the people and the influence and the culture of it all. But, I think kids these days are just eating the stuff up with a spoon and craving that type of, sort of tactile feeling, right?
Right. That's, sure. Hopefully.
Yes to all of it. Yeah, exactly. Interpret it as you will. The data exists. It is there to be discovered and treasured and pined over, as I do. Well, Gail, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I mean, this is just, this just is so fun.
Thank you.
And obviously, there's a million questions that I could continue to ask you about Greg Sage, Jonathan Richmond, everybody else, everyone else you have here on this thing. I mean, this reads like my record collection, come to life.
Oh, there you go.
Unseen photos of everybody I listen to. So it's so great, and more and stuff to discover as well. So I recommend everybody follow Gail with a camera, all one word, no spaces, no underscores. Thank you. Where else can people, is there anything else people can do? They can buy the book. They can go on.
They can buy the book. There's 2 books. Yep. I guess, well, the Bamboo, the chapbook you can get directly through Bamboo Dart Press. They do it directly. The other one, ask your bookseller or online somewhere. I don't have links.
What's the name of the book again?
Something out there in the distance.
There you go. All right. Well,
it's
Gail,
it's my name.
For too long. I appreciate you coming.
Oh no, that's good. It was fun. It was good to catch up since I missed you the other night. I didn't see you.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I saw you, but I didn't see you. You ran out so fast. That was good. That was fun. All right.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Gail. I appreciate it. Well, let's see you at the next show. Awesome. How rad was that? Gail, thank you so much for coming on. It was incredible. It was fun to get to nerd out, and I am in awe, continually in awe. I love hearing people's stories, especially growing up in the 80s, 90s, and just, just living life as it was happening, taking photos of everything, being the person with the camera. I just think it's a life worth living. It's fun. You're just going out to see shows, taking photos, hanging out with friends, documenting it all. And, you get to a point and you realize like, oh, okay, that's a chronology. That is a tome of work. It's a life of work. And I think Gail's got so many incredible photos and so many great stories. I'm sure she could do a whole podcast all on her own, just talking stories of shows and places and people. It was really exciting. I know this is just a drop in the bucket, but I want to make sure everybody goes to get her new book, Something Out There in the Distance. It's writings by Grant Faulkner and photography by Gail Butensky. It's out on University of New Mexico Press. You can get it. There's a link in the show notes. So if you click on those dots here by the show, there'll be something called show notes. It's the little text underneath what the description of this episode is. And that is where you can find the links to buy her new book, Something Out There in the Distance. You can also find her other book, Every Bend by Gail Butensky. That's on Bamboo Dart Press. And then you also will find a link to her Instagram, Gail with the Camera on Instagram. And then what else do we got? Oh, I'll link to the New Yorker article. I think you got to be a subscriber for that. I think you got to pay them for it. But the New Yorker article, Finding a Home Among the Punks. It's really cool, really awesome photos. I would say, yeah, if nothing else, just go follow her on the Instagram and then just fall down a rabbit hole of of all your favorite bands, documented in the day in glorious black and white photography. Really fun stuff. Thank you, Gail, for coming on. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go support independent music, publishers, photographers. Oh, all these Nick Cave photos. Yes. I think she has photographing the birthday party for the zine. Epic. Yeah. Go support all the cool stuff. Put your money behind the cool things that you want to see. You can be a force for change in the world just by buying and supporting the cool people that you know. Buy a print from Gail, right? Why not? I want to do that. Yeah, there's tons of good things happening in the world, and go support those things, and you'll feel better. I'll feel better. Everyone will feel better. So let's do what we can while we can and support each other and keep each other safe. All right. Be well. See you next week.
I just had a really good time in the dark room, and that kind of got me going.